Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Medical Classes by Dr. Srinidhi Kumar Acharya. Please subscribe to my channel and also please give your valuable comments. So, in the last few classes, we were discussing about the basic principles of genetics. We have taken two parts. You can watch my previous videos. And today we will have the continued portion of the same. And in the last two classes, we have seen the basics of genetics, like classification of the genetic disorders, what is the difference between single gene disorders and as well as chromosomal disorders, and what is disjunction, what is mosaicism, and what is mitochondrial inheritance, okay, multifactorial inheritance. So such common things we have seen in one of the part. The second part, we have basically seen the difference between the dominant and as well as recessive genes, what exactly they mean. And what we understood so far is there are autosomes and there are also sex chromosomes. And in both autosomes and as well as sex chromosomes, there are basically many genes are present. And out of all these genes, some of the genes are basically dominant in nature, and some of the genes are recessive in nature. And the genes which are responsible for the formation of the different structures of the body, structural parts of the body, some of the hormones of the body, and few very rare enzymes of the body are basically related with the dominant genes. The genes which are considered as recessive are basically responsible for formation of or maintenance of all the functional integrity of the body. All the functions, different types of functions, metabolic functions, blood exchange functions, oxygenation functions. So these functional where the intracellular enzymes are required, and all such activities are basically carried on by the genes which is called as recessive genes. And we have also given the example of two sisters and as well as two brothers. If the two brothers are given with the work, how they will do. If the two sisters will be given with the work, how they will do. That's the reason why in case of dominant gene, if one among the allele, in a given allele, if the one of the gene is get mutant, definitely there will be a disease. Whereas in case of recessive genes, for the formation of the disease, we need both the genes get mutant. This much we have seen in the last class. Now today we will discuss in detail about the dominant traits in genetics. Okay, so let us, for a time being, you just forget the recessive genes. Dominant genes, how the dominant genes they will work in the body and how they will go into inherit. Okay, if it is mutant, what will happen in future and what is the type of inheritance that it follows. So that we will see in this class. And as we know, the dominant allele will always code for a structural protein and some of the hormones or some of the enzymes, very rare enzymes. Okay, now in autosomal dominant conditions, the diseases, why it occur is because of the absence of a critical protein or less expressibility of the critical protein. I will explain this. Why there is autosomal dominant disorders? Because autosomal, or it may be autosomal or it may be sex chromosomal, the dominant genes are basically responsible for formation of the different structures. If I say the formation of the bone, in the bone I want the collagen tissue. For the collagen tissue there should be one protein which is forming the collagen tissue. Now such proteins which are responsible for formation of the different structures of the body are basically coded by the dominant genes. So problem in that particular dominant gene will always going to lead to some of the structural problem. And the disease due to the absence of the critical protein, the protein which has to be formed for the formation of the collagen tissue or for the formation of some fibrillin like tissue protein. So they are basically coded by the autosomal, coded by the dominant gene. When it is absent, you will have some structural problems. So what I can understand is whenever there is a dominant gene condition problem, dominant disorders, mostly you will have structural problems. Okay, that too the multi systems of the body are get affected. Because sometimes what happens, one single protein, for example, take the example of collagen tissue. Collagen tissue is also needed for the formation of the bones. Collagen tissues are also needed for the formation of the basement membrane. Collagen tissue is also needed for the formation of the, the lens inside the eye. So when that particular collagen tissue forming protein is not present because of the dominant gene problem, then all these structures are get affected. That means there will be all the possibility of a development of multi-system disorders. Multi-system disorder. Okay, this is one important aspect. If one gene of the allele is mutant, and we know that if one of the gene in the given allele is mutant, definitely there will be a disease. This is an example of two brothers. Mother has given a work to two brothers, and if the one brother is not interested to do work, what he will do? He will also go and disturb the other one also. Ultimately, both are not doing the work, and there is a total mess, isn't it? Mess happening. So therefore, definitely in case of a dominant genes, there will be formation of the disease. Either one gene is affected or both the genes are affected. What happens? If both the genes are affected, the severity of the disease is very high. If one gene affected, definitely there is a disease, but severity may be quite less. That's all. We will see that later. Whereas in case of recessive conditions, okay, in case of the recessive condition, as we already explained, there is an absence of a functioning protein. Any enzymes, intracellular enzymes. Now, for example, for the formation of, for the metabolic process of one particular amino acid, okay, in the transamination cycle or in the glycolytic cycle, okay, whenever there is a metabolism, take a flat metabolism, thousands of enzymes are required for each step. Now, the enzyme which is secreted for each step of this particular, given a particular metabolic process, if it is absent, then that function will not going to take place and metabolism will be get arrested in between. So ultimately the end product is not formed, and now this leads to the disease. Okay, so this is the basic problem in the recessive genes. But to have this problem in the given allele, both the genes should be mutant, because if the one is mutant, no problem. Another gene will going to do the work and function remain normal. Example of two sisters. If the one is having a headache, another will going to do the work and dishes will be served to the guest at the end. I have given the example. Okay. So the enzymes, most of the intracellular enzymes, which play a very different role or many role in the metabolic activities. Therefore, most of the inborn errors of metabolism, so they are of recessive condition. Okay, maximum inborn errors of metabolism because of functional aspects. So they are basically they are recessive problem. Okay, in the allele, if there is one gene is mutant, there is no disease. But if the both are get affected, then there will be a disease. Okay, now we go to the next part. Now first see the dominant traits. In the dominant traits, so if you see the inheritance of the dominant disorders, maybe autosomal or maybe sex chromosomal, then we find some of the important aspects. Okay, this you can consider. You can also consider this as different presentation of autosomal, different presentation of the dominant trait. Suppose in a person, if the dominant trait disorders are coming, so what are all the different possibilities they can appear or manifest? Number one, single gene is mutant and there is a disease manifestation. Number two is the concept of penetrance. Penetrance may be low or penetrance may be high. Another concept is pleiotropy. Another presentation is variable expressibility. Another is new mutation, and another one is parental aging. Now, if you are able to understand these 6 or 7 presentations of the autosomal dominant trait, then definitely you will be the master of dominant traits. Okay, so we shall see one by one. Now, if you look into this picture, basically taken from the Google, now to explain the first principle, now you take an example of Marfan syndrome. Okay, so I will say Marfan syndrome is one of the autosomal dominant condition. Okay, autosomal dominant condition, and there will be some problem in chromosome number 15. Okay, autosome number 15 will have some problem in one particular gene. Okay, I will not mention the particular gene location. For example, 450. gene number 450, for example, but it is in the chromosome number 15. In the chromosome number 15, in gene number 450, the gene which is present there, so that is mutant. So we know that one mutant gene is sufficient to cause the disease. So definitely child will have the disease, Marfan syndrome. Now let us see what happens. Okay, let us take the example of Marfan syndrome. Marfan syndrome is a problem in the chromosome number 15. In chromosome number 15, there is the allele for gene expression, and this gene is a dominant gene because disease itself is a dominant disease, and the gene which is mutant is a dominant gene. Therefore, definitely there will be presentation of the disease. This is what I already told. Now, see what happened. This is a male. Okay, this is female. We know how to write the pedigree. This is male and this is female. Now here, this is chromosome number 15 of male, chromosome number 15 of the female. Chromosome number 15 of the male is normal, and chromosome number 15 of the female, out of the two genes which are present in the allele, one is mutant. The dot explained, one is mutant. And we know that if one is mutant, that is sufficient to cause the disease. This is male and this is female. Now, if they marry together, then suppose if they have got 4 children, and suppose if out of the 4 children, 50% are male and 50% are female, then how this disease will go into inherit? Okay, so here they have got 4 children, 2 males and 2 females. Okay, now this and this, if you make the permutation and combination here, so this will be a female. Okay, and this come together, this will be a male. Okay, this will be again a female, and this will be again a female. You just see, okay, this and this come over a male, and this again, this and this goes here, and this one and this mutant will come here, and this come here. So now, if you look into the graph, what happens? Pedigree. The 50% of the male are affected and 50% of the female are affected, isn't it? See, this is a female, this is a male. One mutant gene is sufficient to cause the disease. We know that 50% male is affected, 50% females get affected. Okay, this is observation number 1. Now, the mutant gene is transferred to 50% of the male and 50% of the female. It causes 50% of the disease. Now, where the disease? See, these 2 kids are normal. One male is normal, one female is normal. One male is abnormal and one female is diseased. One male is diseased, one female is diseased. So 50% of male and female involvement, plus in the disease also there is 50% males are affected, 50% females are affected. Okay, so this is disease probability is 50%. Disease probability is 60%. So this we need to understand. This is the first generation, and this is a second generation. Okay, now when you go to the third generation, what happens? Okay, when you go to the third generation, look at here. Now, in the second generation, one of the male who is get affected, diseased, not affected, diseased. So he will marry with a normal male, normal female again. Okay, this is third generation. So this affected male will marry with a normal female. Now, if they have got 4 kids, again this is a possibility. If you look into, see, one male is normal, one female is normal, one male is affected, and one female is affected. Again, the same rule follows. 50% males are affected, 50% females are affected. Male and female ratio is 50-50. In the disease also, the affected among the diseased children, 50% are male and 50% are female. Okay, so this is third generation. Okay, this is third generation. Now, this is third generation. Okay, so the affected male and female mate with the normal male. Okay, so now if you see, this is the first generation, there is a disease. This is the second generation, there is also the disease. This is third generation, there is also disease. This is almost a fourth generation, there is also a disease. So what you observe is disease is there in each and every generation. So this disease will not skip the generations. The disease will not skip the generation. So this is a third important point in the autosomal in the dominant trait. What happens? 50% males are affected, 50% female affected. Among the affected children also 50% are, among the diseased children also 50% are male, 50% are female. And third important is the disease will not skip the generation. In each and every generation there will be some diseased children. Okay, so these are the three important rules basically in a dominant trait, especially autosomal dominant trait. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. So whenever I say a disease, autosomal dominant trait disorders, autosomal dominant disorders or dominant disorders, I have to always remember these three important things. Male and female are equally affected. Among the disease also 50% are male, 50% are female. And this never skip the generation. Each and every generation will have the diseased children, and this is also called as vertical transmission. This is also called as vertical transmission. Now, interesting is now, see here, we will take a normal female from this generation. Okay, this is third generation. I will take a normal female from this third generation. Okay, so female has been taken. She is normal actually. She belongs to the same family of the diseased children. Okay, she is also one of the sister. Okay, now but she is normal. She don't have any problem because there is no mutant gene here. So now this normal female has been married with a normal male. Okay, normal male. Now suppose this is a fourth generation. If they have got four children, if they have four children, again 50% are male, 50% are female. Okay, in the disease, if it occurs, 50% male should be affected, 50% female should be affected. But here she is not having any disease. She is normal. Male is from the different family. He is also normal. When they marry and they have got 4 kids, for your surprise, the 3 kids are normal, expected, but 1 kid is having the disease. 1 kid is having the disease. Now you can ask why this happens. So both the father and mother both are normal, but why he has got this Marfan's? And the disease is Marfan disease because these sisters and sisters were having the disease, but this sister didn't have the carrier gene, or rather this sister has not got the mutant gene. Okay, she is normal, but still his children were, among his 4 children, 1 is get affected. Again the disease manifested here. Again the disease manifested here. This is not skip the generation. Now the question can come, why this normal male and normal female, when they meet together, again there is an appearance of the disease. How it is possible? How it is possible? This explains the principle of penetrance. First principle, penetrance. So penetrance will be seen in case of autosomal dominant traits. Penetrance. Okay, so this is an example that I have taken. Now take a normal female with the generation of this same generation. She is a normal female, isn't it? But she is from the same generation where many of the children were having Marfan syndrome. Okay, so she has been taken, married with a normal male. In this case, female is normal, but her father had the Marfans, isn't it? Okay, their family background is having the history of Marfans. Although it is not expressed here, in the sense, although this particular child, female child, is normal, okay, she is normal, she has got some effect of that disease, but fortunately it is not get expressed. Okay, so it is fortunately not get expressed, but she has got some effect, but fortunately it is not get affected. So I mean to say she has got low penetrance. Okay, so although this genotype shows that she is normal, I cannot say that she is normal. I will say that she is of the same family. She is also having the tendency, but her penetrance is less. Therefore, she is not expressed. But when she comes to the next generation, the less penetrance which was present here in the female was now become more penetrance, and when it becomes more penetrance, actual disease developed. Okay, actually this is developed. I hope you understand this. So now her child develops the morphons. So this is probably her abnormal genotype undergone some modification. Here it is not shown, okay, because low penetrance, but in the next generation it comes because of so many factors. Now this particular abnormal genotype of the mother has undergone some modification, and now it comes to the level of the high penetrance, and as a result there is appearance of the disease. So this is actually what we say the penetrance mechanism in autosomal dominant traits. Okay, the reason is given, her gene, the mother's gene in this case, has shown less penetrance, so there is no development of the disease in that particular female. In the next generation the disease developed, the penetrance increased and disease manifested. So although that particular female, this particular female, although she was looking normally phenotypically, by external looking she is looking normal, she don't have any disease, but genotypically she was not normal. So phenotypically the mother and father both are normal, especially father is anyway normal, mother is normal, but child had got the disease. Genotypically she is not completely normal, phenotypically she is normal. So word penetrance is ability of the disease to express its symptoms. Okay, so that is called as penetrance. So mother had got less penetrance, so there is no expression of the symptoms, but her kid has got more penetrance and therefore he expressed the symptoms. So sometimes the word penetrance is somewhat equal to the stage of carrier. Okay, actually when we go to the autosomal recessive trait of disorders, yeah, X-linked recessive type of disorders, there commonly we use a word carrier. Carrier will not develop the disease, she only carry the mutant gene, she will not actually develop the disease. Similarly, in the autosomal dominant traits, we don't have the word like carrier. A word which is almost all similar to the carrier state is penetrance. Okay, is penetrance. So this is what we can understand by this thing. Okay, I hope you understand this very well. Thank you very much. We will again meet in another class with the continued portion of the same. Thank you very much, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and also please give your valuable comments. Thank you.